think she has moved.
Oh, I was just it cut you off a bit. You said this is the most difficult conversation of your life, or what?
Yes, this probably was the most, because I've never had somebody. Well, I guess I could say attack my values before, and I've never had to consider in depth this like that type of value, because in my experience, submission is like, you know, I will follow what you say. I will help you along the way. I will help you from the sidelines. I will help you with my children. I will help you with household works, this and that. I will submit to you. I will be the peg underneath you. I'll be your foundation to help you stay up. And I've never had someone come up with this idea that, okay, what happens if your husband's a big fucking asshole?
Yeah,
I wouldn't marry him, you know? Like,
before I have you come in on this, here, play that video. Go to the video tab. Related to the being submissive, leading thing. Go ahead and play it.
I know what you're gonna play.
1 sec, guys. We're getting it pulled up. All right, guys. Hold on. Bro, it's here. You gotta get the audio on.
I love The Office.
Me too.
I got away with everything under the last boss, and it wasn't good for me at all. So I want guidance. I want leadership. But don't just like boss me around, you know? Like lead me. Lead me when I'm in the mood to be led.
Okay.
The fact you knew that.
Oh, see, yeah, you get it.
No, I love that. I love
God,
that.
How do I get up to walk out and take a leak, and then instantly, the second I go out to do that, you say I attacked you? How did I attack you?
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Oh,
you know
God.
what? You know what? Oh, listen. You. It may not to you. It may not seem like you attacked me, but your tone, it felt like you were attacking me.
Oh my
Okay.
God.
I think she might have been.
That was great.
That was great.
Oh my God, I felt like you did this.
It's just that it's, you know, when I state something and it might not satisfy what you were wanting to hear, and you keep repeating the same question over and over again, and I have to keep finding a way to try to, you know, make sense of what I'm trying to say in a way that you would understand, or a way that you might be able to work with, and you keep trying to like get at me and, you know, ask me for more. It feels like attacking, because I've never had a conversation like that. So actually, I very much appreciate it. I think it was very, you know, eye-opening. I learned a lot.
Can you look at it from my end? So try to imagine it from my end.
Yeah.
I say, excuse me, miss, what color is the sky? And you say the ground is brown. And I go, okay, yeah, I know, but the sky, though, up there, the sky, you see, you know what the sky is, right? And you go, yeah, I know what the sky is. And I say, point to the sky. And you point up, and I go, yeah, what color is that? And you go, well, the ground is brown, right?
Well, Can you
imagine from my angle how absolutely frustrating it is when you say you're asking me the same question over and over, and I say, well, sure, because you won't answer the question I ask you, you answer a question I don't ask you. So yes, of course, I have to constantly repeat what I
No,
say.
I understand. But the thing is that I answered your question, but you just didn't. You were you were saying like, okay, but why would you need to know if you're just gonna submit anyway? You asked me that over and over again, and I'll be honest, I didn't know the answer. So I was trying to make sense of it. So when every time I answered, you would just repeat the same question, saying, "Oh, but I don't understand. How can what is the difference between you being a slave and this and that?" So that's why I'm not saying.
You could have said
Wait,
this.
hold on,
you could have
hold
said Andrew. You could have said Andrew. I don't know. And that would have been the end of it.
Okay, and I should have said that.
I don't know, and I would have been like, oh, all right.
Okay, then I admit I should have said I'm not the best. I'm not the most knowledgeable in that. I need some time to think about that. But at the same time, when you keep asking me, I feel like I should give an answer, and so I try to, and it wasn't my best answer.
I don't know is a good answer.
I know, but. In the moment, let's just say, in the moment, it felt like I had to give an answer to you, and so I tried to.
All right.
I tried my best. Okay, I hope you are satisfied.
Hail and well met.
Good exchange.
LOL Paladins donated $200.02. I'll gladly sit through some theology in order to get the joy of hearing Andrew tell these dumbos that their definition of submission is actually her wanting to be in charge and dominant.
She doesn't. She never said that.
I never said that.
Tate.
I wanted to ask you something, actually, because the way that I think of it is, so you kept mentioning that, that would make you a slave. Do you think that children are slaves to their parents?
No, absolutely. Because, in the household that I grew up with, my parents always gave me like a reason as to why we're doing something. Go to bed at this time, you want enough sleep. Eat these vegetables, you want to be healthy. Do your homework, you want to be educated.
Yeah.
I always had a reason as to why I was doing things for my parents.
Did your parents ever give you a command or tell you to do something and they did not give you an explanation, or they told you
There was.
or maybe the explanation just, so for example, there are plenty of times where I give my children commands and they're either not old enough to understand my explanation. Mommy, why can't I go spend the night at this person's house? I don't want to have to go into detail as to why I don't think that is safe for them.
Yeah.
And it's not their place to have me explain that to them, even, because I don't think that those are details that I are.
Well, I mean,
capable for them
isn't
to share.
Because I said so sufficient?
Yes. There are a lot of times where I say that, go clean your room. Well, I don't want to clean my room. Sucks for you. You need to go and do that. So it's like, I don't see my children as slaves, and in the hierarchy of a home, it's kind of similar with husband to wife. Not that I'm his child or that he needs to, treat me as lesser, but understand that in the hierarchy, if he needs something from me or he has something that he wants our family to do, that it's not incumbent upon him to necessarily give an explanation, especially if it's like for example, if somebody were to break into the house in the middle of the night, I don't want to have to sit there and explain to my child,
I wouldn't either.
you need to be quiet. You need to be quiet. You need to go in here. Well, mommy, why? Why do
Do
we
you
have
want to
to?
explain it
No,
to your
you're
wife?
gonna get up. You're gonna.
Hang on. Should the husband have to explain it to his wife?
Yes, because the wife could then call 911. Be a helper in that situation.
When he could just say, shh, I'm not giving you any reasoning behind this, right? But it's important you be quiet right now.
And this is
she
why
goes,
I said,
why should I be quiet? Should I be quiet because now you don't talk to me like that? Boom, 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 boom. Criminal takes you both
and
out,
this is
right?
and this
Great.
is why
Fantastic.
This is why I said everything is situational. In all the cases you gave to me, I understand 100%, and I would do the same. I would never see my children as slaves. In fact, everything
to give an
you
explanation.
said, exactly. Everything
I'm your parent. I'm your mother.
Yeah,
you're gonna do what I say. You were gonna do what I say. You might not like it. I don't have to give you an explanation.
No,
you're gonna do it.
Everything you said, I agree with. That's why I'm saying everything is very situational. Would you allow your husband to spend your entire family's saving to go on a trip to Hawaii?
It's if my husband is leading my family, I'm going to trust that whatever decision that he is going to make, first of all, he's the breadwinner. That's his money. That's his
true,
money
yeah.
that he's spending. So if he feels that it's something that he wants to do, this is something that my husband does sometimes. Sometimes he will make a purchase. He doesn't have to ask me to spend his money that he earned.
I agree.
I'm never, he doesn't have to ask me. I will ask
What if
him.
it was your money?
Yeah, my money is his money. It's our money.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
no.
So he's going to ultimately decide on that, right?
Yes.
Even if it's yours? Yes?
Yes.
That's submission. What she just described, that's actual submission.
And see, there's
That's
a
what
lot
that
of things.
actually
There's a
looks
lot
like.
of things that that's basically everything she said I've agreed on. The only thing I would disagree is that going on a vacation to Honolulu. I don't know. I've never been on there.
Yeah.
With our whole family saving, I just don't see that. I don't understand. Okay, you say that you trust him, that he'll have a plan. But how can he plan to get back the money that we have spent years cultivating?
Well, that's again, in my situation, my husband is the breadwinner. He is the one who brings in the money. In my eyes, that's his money. I mean, it's our money for our family. First of all, I trust my husband because I trust that he would not put us in a financial situation that was going to bankrupt us. I'm assuming that he's not taking out a second mortgage on our home to take us to Hawaii. But even if he did...
and what if, well, let me ask you this real quick. What if, and the only reason I don't mean to cut you off, but I know we have time constraints because Brian wants to move it on.
Yes, I'm sorry.
What if, can we all agree on this, that while women will often say, well, I just want an explanation of what's going on, that's not really what's going on. What's going on is they want a justification that they can argue against, and sometimes a 15-minute justification will turn into a 5-day-long drag-out fight because they don't want you to do X thing. And that this is very common with couples, happens all the time, even including with Christian couples, non-Christian couples, that women will often say, I just want a quick justification, which then turns into a grind-long argument, which can be easily avoided with the idea of what she's talking about, which is actual submission. Your job is to lead. I have to have faith that you're leading me correctly, even if I can't see the ends. That is what biblical submission means.
Right. Which is kind of what I think he's been trying to point out to you. It's not that, you know, I don't think that he's trying to attack you at all, just to point out kind of the flaws in the logic there. You know, it's like, you can't say that you want to submit, but then don't submit. Like there are going to be situations where there is no explanation needed. You have to just trust the man that you chose, trust the man that if he's following
trust the man that God chose for me.
Yeah,
yes.
Christian, if he's following Christian ethics, if he's following the Christian faith, that he is going to lead your family down a path that's not going to destroy you. Especially when it comes to something as simple as, you know, what he spends money on.
No,
you know?
And I completely agree. And honestly, Andrew, if you had explained it in a gentle tone like she had, I would have. It would have been a lot better.
Well,
no, but
okay,
anyway,
well, so
no,
let me
but
ask you-
what I wanted to say was.
Let me ask you this: Is humility one-sided?
Humility one-sided?
Yeah, is it one-sided?
No, it's humility.
Does only one of us need to come to a conversation humble?
Wait, I'm sorry. Can you say that again?
Does only one of us need to come to a conversation humble? Or do both of us need to come to a conversation?
I think both of us have to come to a conversation humble.
What's that?
Both of us.
Both of us. Okay. Where was the humility on your side as you demand the humility on mine?
Because you had no humility for me. And I tried,
okay,
and I will admit, you did push my buttons, and I got a little out of control. But see, with her, she explained to me.
That's my fault, because if I had delivered it in a way that you had preferred, then it would have been okay, because you're the leader, right? You're the leader.
And I've never said anything like that.
What you wanted, everything would have been okay.
Yeah, but you're not her husband. She doesn't need to submit to you.
What about what I want? I want you to say, you're right, Andrew, because you have flawless logic. So I'm going to just say you're right.
Andrew, did I not already tell you?
Instead, I have to capitulate to you, right? Everything for you.
But it's just the opposite, though. When you argue with someone, you just want them to agree with you. But she's just asking for you to speak in a different tone and help explain it better.
Great, I want her to speak in a different tone, too.
$200.
None.
TBH, she's holding up solidly for a 19-year-old. Kudos. Also, tone matters if you want to actually convince someone. It makes a person more likely to be open-minded and listen to you versus be defensive.
No, let me tell you exactly.
The thing is, Andrew, is that
the truth is that when I speak and get into an argument with somebody, it forces them to defend their position. And if they can't defend their position properly, they end up in a logical trap and make themselves look stupid. This, in turn, for the thousands of people viewing it, go, oh shit, I'm not going to ever be in that position and do that dumbass thing ever. So yeah, I agree that tone matters, and that what you should do is always take in a debate a tone which is a debate tone, because you're having a debate. That's what you do.
How is this a debate, though? She's just trying to have a conversation based on the little knowledge that she actually has. But if you would have explained it to
what
a
is a
point.
debate? Let's start with that.
It's called verbal combat.
Let's say this, Andrew.
Let's start with what a debate is, Nala. What is it?
I'd say more of like a heated discussion based off of two different viewpoints.
Yeah.
Why does it have to be heated?
Discussion based off of two different viewpoints. We had two different viewpoints, and we entered into a heated discussion. What else do you call that?
But would you say that like you encouraged the heatedness and didn't come with humility because you called her stupid?
I didn't call her stupid.
You called me stupid, and I agreed.
Nope, I didn't call you stupid.
You did.
Yes, you did, bro.
And you know what?
No,
I am
I
admitting that I agreed. I said, okay, I'm not intelligent enough for this conversation right here, but I'm trying my best.
I never called you stupid. I asked
you asked me, are you too stupid to have this conversation?
No, this is what.
That's what you
happened.
asked me.
You said, how old are you? And you gave an age discrepancy. You said, you're only 19 and I'm 40, and so therefore you don't have as much experience as me. And I said,
And
so
that's
you're saying
true.
you're too
I
stupid
don't
to
have enough in my.
I hang on. So I asked you a question. Are you saying you're too stupid to have this conversation? You said yes. I said, okay, well then I'm not going to have the conversation anymore, if that's what you think.
I said
Because
I don't have.
there's no point. That is not calling you stupid.
No, you said you're too stupid to have this conversation with.
He was asking it as a question. He was posing it as a
You made it
question.
up.
No,
You completely
okay,
make it up in your brain.
Andrew. Yes, I agree. You posed that as a question, and I agreed. But that doesn't take away from the fact that I still wanted to have the conversation, and you couldn't get off the idea that I consider myself stupid. I still wanted to have the conversation despite knowing that this is not something that I would quote unquote win. Please let me finish.
I know that you did.
You would stop me every time I interrupted you, so please stop when you interrupt me. So the problem I have is that I have an idea of submission that I cultivated throughout my life, throughout looks of my parents, throughout church, throughout classes and religious studies. This is my idea of submission that I cultivated and that I'm going to spend more time in my life pondering before I have a husband. And you have your idea of submission that you are trying to force onto me. And you may convince me, but in this instance right now, you have not convinced me. I am staying strong to my own.
Not here to convince you. I'm here to convince thousands of people who watch later. Also, on top of that, just so that you understand, I want you to think again, not just from your own view, but from mine. I ask a person, are you saying that you're not intelligent enough or you're too stupid to have a conversation with me? And they say yes. Why would I continue to converse with them? Why would I do that? Why would you talk to somebody who literally tells you they're not smart enough to talk to you? Why would you keep talking to them? Can you explain that to me?
Why did you keep talking to me then?
You demanded it.
But you continued.
I was going to
so you're submitting to her?
So you submitted to her.
Right. I said you're right. And you were like,
This is amazing. Oh. No, okay. Listen, I am very glad we had the conversation. Despite what differences we may have right now, I'm very glad we had the conversation. I'm very glad you told me a little bit about your own.
Absolutely.
Because I'm telling you, everybody says like so many people have done things by the time they're 19. I have not. I'm barely starting my life's journey. So I have no experience, I have no knowledge, and you guys are teaching me a lot of things. I have no dating experience ever. So you guys are teaching me a lot of things. So it's very eye-opening.
We do have a couple chats coming in.